physics sometimes doesn't seem to work. The laws of physics don't seem to be obeyed, and none so more really than heavy and light objects fall at the same rate. And it's quite counterintuitive and also not part of our experience, because on Earth, heavy and light things rarely do fall at the same rate. If I drop a feather and a hammer on the moon, they will hit the ground at the same time. And I seem to, if I did it in a vacuum. But in everyday experiences, we all know that the hammer would hit the ground first. But one of the questions is, well, why should a heavy object and a light object, why should they fall at the same rate? Why should the laws of physics say that? It doesn't make any sense, or does it? So if I look at these cupcakes here, there's a stack of 10 cupcakes on top of each other. Here I have a single cupcake holder. And what they're going to do is they're going to fall. And when they fall, we've got to think about it in terms of forces. So the heavy one here has 10 times the force as the light one here. But it's also got 10 times the mass, which means that it's going to accelerate at 1/10 as much for the same force as this one. So it's about proportionality. And you might want to think of it as one person pushing a car has a certain acceleration. Supposing I had two people pushing two cars, one on top of the other, we'd expect that to have the same acceleration as one person pushing one car. And 10 people pushing 10 cars stacked on each other's would again be the same, because each person would have a certain force per mass, which would actually create that acceleration. So that's why things should fall at the same rate. So why don't they? Well, do they? Let's have a look and see what happens. So we can see very clearly the heavy one fell faster. And we've got to look and say, well, why has that happened? And there's only one reason for that, and that's drag, that's air resistance. So as these are moving through the air, they're bombarded, hitting air molecules, and the air molecules are slowing them down. But the heavier an object is, compared to its surface area, the lower the effect of that resistance, air resistance, that drag will actually be. So a lighter object, and we can think of this in the same way. If a feather was falling down and I blew a feather, it would move back up again. If I tried to do it with a ball bearing, it wouldn't happen. It would hit me on the head, even if it was the same surface area. A light cyclist, compared to a heavy cyclist, would actually be far more affected by a headwind because they have similar surface area, but the lighter one would actually have a much bigger force exerted per mass than the heavier one,